world has become a smaller place in just a decade because of the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and all the tweets and tweets that we have been getting all over the world. Instantaneously, we can see tsunamis happen. We can see suns rise as fast as they set. We can see New Year's Eve celebrations happening by the flick of the clicker button. And we can see revolutions that are happening throughout the world and governments toppling one by one. The television, the internet, the Facebook, the iPad, the flip camera, all of this technology has brought to light everything right in front of us. In fact, it's documented and captured all of these great indelible images of the passion for living and the strife of life. And it all makes us wonder really what is going on in the world. We are all here in this growing frenzy of immediate gratification, and we need to know it all, but I'm beginning to wonder if we really do know it all. We do see it, but do we actually see it? And do we really get it? And does it touch a core or that special spot in your heart somewhere that actually makes you change your direction? I am a nurse, and I have had a great education with multiple degrees, both undergraduate and graduate, that have opened opportunities for me here in this country and elsewhere. You probably have heard a lot about what you probably have an idea of what a nurse is, having seen reality TV shows, or maybe you've had an interaction as a patient with a nurse in a hospital. And those are probably all valid images of nurses that you have come up with in terms of your definitions. And I'm here to tell you what I feel actually epitomizes what a nurse is all about. I'm not young anymore. I'm kind of far away from the 20-year-old girl that I was years ago when I was heading out into the world. And I've learned a little bit about what my profession is. Nursing is the link between the patient and the art of healing and surgery and all the technical aspects of our healthcare profession. And we pull it all together so that we can make someone whole. And as I've learned, as I've grown, the specialty of nursing is caring, nurturing, and comfort. Those sound like pretty simple terms. Something like reminding you of a picture of a mother tucking in a child at nighttime. Or maybe putting a child on a school bus. But have you ever really thought about what caring, nurturing, and comfort mean? Caring represents a touch, or a tear, or an emotion that starts in your head and moves to your heart. It transforms the act of medicine in a simple gesture by a handshake or a hand touching an arm, and it displays that emphasis of compassion and hope, even when everything around you is utterly in despair. Nurturing, on the other hand, is when there is absolutely nothing positive about the situation, and yet at the same time, you can see beauty in it. You can see hope in a situation when everything is lost, and you can see good in a situation when it all looks so bad, like a mother who might be standing next to her son on the worst day of his life. Comfort is the opportunity to put the body in a place where it can be soothed, where it can heal, and where you can rekindle its spirit. These are things that are not necessarily learned in school, these three virtues of nursing: caring, nurturing, and comfort, nor are they learned between the walls of brick buildings covered with ivy. They're really learned because of the way you have articulated and lived your life over time. And I have found, as time has gone by, that it has become a way of living for me, and it takes very little energy and very little effort. One of the most unique aspects of the act of healing is that in the end, the most powerful is that it takes you to those places in people's hearts where many people never go. We work, that is true, in nursing with technical skill and medications, but in the long run, the most powerful piece of this is how you have impacted on someone's heart. I took 9 nurses to Libya recently, and we arrived in Cairo with our bags full of medical supplies, and we traveled the desert and crossed the border into Libya to be met by military guard and continued on to our mission with the guard into Benghazi. We went there to help take care of the freedom fighters. These are people who have lived under oppression and a dictatorship for over 40 years. And they're people just like you and me that are shopkeepers and farmers and teachers and students who believe in change and believe in freedom and believe in something greater than their own self-interest. They're not trained soldiers, but they decided that they would take up arms and stand for freedom. One day when we were in the hospital, I came upon a man alone in his room, surrounded by medical people that didn't know what to do. And as I looked at the multiple gunshot wounds and all of the blood, and will never forget the image of a mangled leg, I knew exactly what to do. The pain medication, the bandages, and the skill of a surgical team was definitely needed. But there was more to this picture than just a mangled body. There was the look on his face of total disbelief that this had actually happened to him, and total despair, a shattered life, a fragmented soul, total surprise and shock, like he was sitting on top of a cloud with his eyes closed, waiting for his eyes to open and to know that all of this would be gone. Blankness and a life that was totally changed. How do you patch up despair and hopelessness when there isn't even any strength left to try? That is not a simple task. How do you weave the thread of caring and nurturing with the technique of surgical skill to reach down into the hearts of people to instill hope? You put your hand on his shoulder and you look into his eyes and you tell him, I'm here for you. I care about you. The hand that touches ever so softly and reaches into the hearts of people is the hand that marks the soul and changes direction from despair to hope. That's very powerful, probably more powerful than I can even describe. And when he turned and said, you came to help us even before anyone else, even your president, there was not a dry eye in the room. You see, when you cradle caring in your hand and you give it away, and someone believes in you, you will be better, just like Adil. For the past 20 years, I have traveled the world, from the gutters in Sri Lanka to hospitals in northern Pakistan, where the Afghan refugees have sought refuge from the Russian invasion, to Calcutta, where the lepers live and smile, and all the death and dying that Mother Teresa finds every day on the street, and all of the gutters and the dumps in Cambodia, as well as to war-torn Libya. And I have seen the destruction of life, the disbelief, the sadness, the filth, all the malnutrition, all the burned out buildings, everything that we cannot possibly imagine. But more than that, there are the broken spirits and the broken hearts and the lost souls and the total disbelief that life could be any worse. No strength left to even imagine if life could be even any better. And if it is, how could they imagine when all they've ever known is this struggle? What is it about the struggles in people's lives that we seek? What is it about a photograph of a Somali child that's starving, or the weather-beaten life that's ingrained on the face of a woman somewhere in the world that draws us in? We have the ability these days to see all of these scenes through our daily images on our screens. And even though it is difficult for us to imagine that it might be real, it is really real. But the people in the mountaintops and in the deserts and in the gutters all over the world cannot even imagine life any differently. Their life is one of struggle, and it limits the imagination. But I have found in my travels that the reality of living is a reflection of similar needs and wants, whether we come from primitive cultures or sophisticated ones like the one within which we live. We all have the same needs and wants and desires. We want food for our children and shelter. We want a job and an education and security on our borders so that our families will thrive and our children will be better off than we are. So really, when you think about it, are we really that different? In our society, there are many people that are unseen, that we walk by each day, never having any sort of eye-to-eye contact with any one of them, and nor do we smile. We do not know about their stories because we never asked about their stories. And the only thing we see is the outside perimeter of maybe a housekeeping uniform that might define someone. But that man also is struggling for his family as well. Like my friend Sabine. Sabine is from Rwanda, and he worked for many years as a reporter documenting human rights violations in Uganda and Congo, and traveling from country to country and speaking about crimes against humanity. When the genocide started, he was targeted, and he had to move nightly between city and village in order to escape death. He finally made a single journey to Kenya and walked for 2 months from Uganda to Kenya, entering Kenya with false papers, having left his 2 children and his wife behind. The struggles that he endured, the loss of his parents, the numerous number of people that were murdered right before his eyes, his loss of his best friend, and the untold fear, the chronicity of fear that we can only possibly imagine, warranted the question, why was I spared? And then, when he lost his wife, big tears, and asking a question that had no answer. Why? How do you wipe away the tears of a man whose life has been one of struggle and carries a broken heart? You reach out to this man and you tell him that I am here for you and I care. We run around our lives, in our lives, grabbing special moments, like watching a child at the ballet recital or playing the piano, and we work endless hours and call our lives enriched. But did we really take the time that day to say hello to someone and to really connect? Many times we say to ourselves, why bother? It doesn't make any difference. And I'm here to tell you that it does make a big difference. A big, big difference to offer a kind word and a smile and the warmth of your heart, because it validates the existence of someone else. And it gives someone a sense of hope that maybe they just might take that step. Those principles of caring and nurturing and comfort cradle someone's heart and help someone move from despair to hope. The difference is, if we all did it, if we cared and nurtured and provided comfort, and we smiled and connected with people and acknowledged others, then maybe our world would just be a friendlier place. Maybe we would even have a more compassionate world. And if we were able to recognize that our differences were only the color of our skin or a religious choice, maybe we would be able to feel the transformation of change in someone's heart. I know that this is naive. Mother Teresa, however, did this, covered in a cloak of God, and believed that all people had good things. And I hardly profess to be that close to God, but I do know that no matter through whom we work, whether it's by ourselves, that we all have a heart to give. And you can give your heart and your compassion away with just a simple handshake and a simple smile, just a simple gesture. I will never forget Adel or Sabine. Wounds will heal, bodies will mend, and scarred, broken hearts will live in memories for a long time, and life will go on. But not because of some medical intervention, but because of caring and nurturing and comfort, because that's what is needed to heal the spirit. I welcome all of you to join me in never forgetting a single fellow human being. The giving is free. It is just simply overlooked. Thank you.